Hi, kindergarten. Today we're going to read a story called We Are Best Friends by Aliki. And this story is about two boys who are best friends. But one of them has to move away, and they're very sad about it. So when a friend moves away, we can still keep talking to them even if we don't see them all the time. And now we're very lucky because we can send videos and we can take pictures and send them through text messages or emails. But one of the coolest ways I think to keep up with someone is to write a letter. So these two boys work on writing letters. So let's see what happens in this story. We are best friends. So you can see the boys play together a lot. Peter came to tell Robert the news. Here's Peter. I am moving away, he said. You can't move away, said Robert. We are best friends. I am moving far away, said Peter. What will you do without me? Asked Robert. Who will you play with? We will live in a new house, said Peter. You will miss my birthday party, said Robert. I will be going to a new school, said Peter. Who will you fight with? Asked Robert. Nobody fights like best friends. I will make new friends, said Peter. You can't move away, said Robert. You will miss me too much. But Peter moved away. There was nothing to do without Peter. There was no one to play with. So here we can see Robert sitting here on the stairs. Is there really nobody to play with? No, but he's very sad because he really wanted to play with Peter. And look, even at his birthday party, he's feeling very sad. There was no one to share with. There was no one to fight with. Not the way best friends fight. There was no fun anymore. I'll bet Peter doesn't even remember me, said Robert. It's a good thing he's not here. I'd have to punch him one. So Robert's feeling very sad because he really misses his best friend. Hello, my name is Will, said a new face. I don't like freckles, thought Robert. I used to go to another school, said Will. I don't like glasses, thought Robert. My friends are all there, said Will. I don't like silly names like Will, thought Robert. It was fun, said Will. Not boring like this place. So Will is a new kid at Robert's school. And Will doesn't seem to like his new school either. A letter came for Robert. A letter from Peter. Look at how happy he is. And here's the letter. Dear Robert, I hope you still remember me. I like my new house now. I like my new school now. At first, I didn't like anything, but now I have a friend, Alex. You are my best friend, but Alex is nice. It is fun to have someone to play with again. It's not so lonely. Love, Peter. So Peter wrote Robert a letter, and he said he made a new friend, and it's nice to have new friends because now he's not lonely in his new school. Robert drew Peter a letter. He drew two friends building a fort. He drew them playing with their cars. He drew them riding their bikes. He wrote, "If you were here, this is what we'd be doing, but you're not." Then he wrote, "There is a new boy in school. He has freckles." So here's the letter that he was writing to Peter. Robert saw Will by the fence. "Did you lose something?" he asked. "I thought I saw a frog," said Will. "That's funny, looking for a frog," said Robert. "What's funny about it?" "I like frogs," said Will. "I used to have a pet frog named Greenie. He'd wait for me by the pond near where I lived. He must miss me a lot." So there's Robert and there's Will. And Will's looking for a frog. "I know where the frogs are," said Robert. "Right in my garden." "You're just saying that," said Will. "I mean it," said Robert. "You can see for yourself. If I had a frog in my garden, I'd share it," said Will. "That's what I'm doing," said Robert. So the two boys are getting along now. Robert and Will rode home together. They went straight into the garden. The frogs were there. One leaped under a bush and Will caught it. "I'll call you Greenie the Second," he said. "You like me already, don't you?" And you can see he's holding the frog. "The frogs lay their eggs here every year," said Robert. "It's almost time. My friend Peter used to come watch the tadpoles. He called them Inky Wiggles. He'll miss them." "Why?" asked Will. "He moved away," said Robert, "just about the time you came. I write him letters." "Then you can write about the Inky Wiggles," said Will. They laughed. "I haven't had so much fun since I moved here," said Will. "Neither have I," said Robert. Now the boys are really becoming friends. Robert wrote to Peter, "Dear Peter, I can't wait until summer when you come to visit. The new boy is called Will. I showed him the frogs. He had a pet one near his home, but he had to move away like you. He thinks Inky Wiggles is funny. I'll write when they hatch. Love, Robert. P.S. How is Alex? P.P.S. See you soon." Robert mailed the letter, then rode over to Will's house to play. The end. So, We Are Best Friends is a story about how we can still communicate and help and maintain our relationships with people, even if they're not still in the same place as we are. Right now, a lot of us are going through something similar because of COVID. So we can't always be with our best friends or be with our family, even though we might want to be. So we're using Zooms and texting and emailing, and some people are even sending letters. So I want to talk about these letters here. Where Peter wrote a letter to Robert. He told him how his life is going. He said, "I like my new house. I like my new school." And he even said, "At first I didn't like anything, but now I have a new friend named Alex." So he's still communicating with Robert by writing him a letter, telling him about how his life is going. And then Robert did the same thing. He drew him a picture and said, "If you were here, this is what we'd be doing right now." And then he said, "There's a new guy in school. He has freckles." So they're still able to talk to each other back and forth, even if it's not very quickly or in person. So what we want you guys to do today is we want you to tell us who you would like to write a letter to. If you were going to write a letter to somebody, who would you write to, and what would you tell them? What would you share with them about your life? Remember, Robert and Peter wrote back and forth about how their life was going without one another. So, what would you tell whoever you're going to write a letter to? Who would you write it to, and what would you say to them?